Ever heard someone say, to whom much is given, much is required? Wonder where they got it from? Let's find out. So, to get on the road to much given, much required, we'll need to start with understanding biblical stewardship. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God is the creator, so he owns it all. So then God creates man in his own image, puts man in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So now there's a manager with the responsibility to do what God said. Apostle Paul says, we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, you are God's building. So not only do you have a responsibility for things, but people too. Jesus said to go and make disciples of all nations. In Corinthians, Paul writes that God gave him the work he was doing, so he had to steward it. It is required in stewards that they be found faithful. In other words, a person put in charge as a manager must be faithful. That means there's a trust and you have a responsibility to take care of what you've been given. Looping back to whom much is given, much is required, guess what? Jesus actually said this in Luke 12:48. He was given a parable about a faithful and wise steward or manager who was responsible to give the servants their various allowances at the proper time. Due to that proper stewardship, the person will be rewarded with managing more. Contrarily, the one who decides to mismanage what he's been given would be severely punished. Jesus summed up the parable with, to whom much is given, much is required, and the one enlisted with much, much more will be asked. God has given each of you a gift. Use it to serve one another as faithful stewards of the manifold grace of God. And here's what the Lord requires of you. Act justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Make the most of your time and the resources that you've been trusted with. To whom much is given, much is required is very much so biblical. Faith up.